With strangely yellow hands and an orange face, Donald Trump was not happy to be asked again about the Epstein files. Trump resorting to, it's a Democrat hoax. It's irrelevant. Stop talking about it. Take a listen.
There have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massie, who was sponsoring a discharge position to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
Trump says it's a hoax in that if you talk about Epstein, you aren't talking about my success as president. But Trump is saying a lot of things in there that aren't true. How is it a Democrat hoax if survivors have told their stories? We just heard from the survivors. It's not Comey putting Trump's name in files. We have victims of Epstein who said Epstein would regularly talk about his best friend, Donald Trump. Trump is pulling the whole, I believe we've released thousands of files. That's not new. Most of what the administration, quote, released was already out. The key is in what they are not releasing and what they go back and forth on as to whether they even have. We're not going to forget about this. And interestingly, even though some of the MAGA people have now been swayed by Trump, there are MAGA people who believe Trump was going to finally deliver transparency on the Epstein stuff. And they believe Trump is participating in a cover-up here. We are not falling for this. We're just not going to fall for it. Now, some reporters called out Donald Trump and said, you know, you're talking about the restaurants in D.C., you're talking about safety. You've never gone to a restaurant in D.C. And Trump doesn't really like the line of questioning.
Will you visit a restaurant in D.C.? You haven't gone to...
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't...
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I and many other...
Do you want me to prove you wrong? Do you want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while I can see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe.
You know, it's funny. Trump says, how do you know I didn't go to a restaurant in D.C.? And by the way, having takeout from McDonald's brought into the White House doesn't count. Well, we know because the whereabouts of the president are a matter of public record. The answer is just so silly. Trump choosing during this strange event to continue telling this debunked, ridiculous story about California water and fires. This is the very story that led Governor Gavin Newsom to suggest that Donald Trump is suffering from dementia, retelling endlessly the same story over and over again, a story that happens to be untrue.
But more importantly, he didn't allow the water to come from the Pacific Northwest. You know, they have tremendous amounts of water in California. People don't know. They send the water out to the Pacific Ocean. So I demanded it be open. If that were open during the fire, before the fire, you wouldn't have had the fire because all the sprinklers would have worked in the houses.
I hope people realize how absurd this is.
No water. They had no water in the fire hydrants. You wouldn't have had the fires. It would have been put out after one house, two houses. But he stopped the water from coming in. And I had to send in the military to have that water opened after the fires. And now they have water, but he should have more because they've restricted, they still restrict it. There's something wrong with these people. There's something really wrong.
There is definitely something wrong. But what's wrong is Trump repeating this dumb story about water over and over and over again. And then maybe the most interesting moment of this press conference, it's the moment where the true Trump is revealed. A reporter asked Donald Trump a great question for someone with Trump's personality and constitution. Were you upset that Beijing, China, didn't invite you to their parade. Remember, Trump is increasingly being excluded by the very strong men he adores. Putin and Xi and Kim Jong-un hanging out, shaking hands, holding hands even. And Trump is nowhere, and it eats away at him like maggots eating away at an apple. I don't know. Here is Trump going, no. I'm not bothered. It didn't even cross my mind.
Nice thing, yeah.
You were not invited to the parade in Beijing.
Never even thought about it until just now.
President, what's your message for President?
Never even thought. It wouldn't have been my place to be there.
Would not even occur to me, except we know Trump was thinking about it because he put out a Truth Social post saying, give my regards to the people, including Putin, that we're meeting. Trump is jealous. Trump is envious. Trump realizes that the United States is increasingly being relegated to a secondary position as China and Russia, Turkey, even North Korea are creating this sort of ecosystem where they say, let's go ahead without the United States. Maybe the United States under Trump isn't as critical as we thought to the growth and survival of our countries. This hits Trump because of his ego, and it hits him really hard. There was a time when public education meant learning math, science, history, but now we are seeing Bible verses in biology class. We're seeing 10 commandments on the wall, religious chaplains taking the place of trained counselors, and it's all funded by taxpayer money through voucher programs that are sending public dollars to private religious schools. This is part of a broader effort to inject religion into public education. I'm against that. And it often is coming at the expense of real academic standards and the well-being of the students. Now, our sponsor, the Freedom From Religion Foundation, is fighting back. FFRF defends constitutional principles, takes legal action when schools cross the line, and protects students from religious coercion in public classrooms. If you believe in facts, in protecting education, in keeping religion out of public schools, I can tell you this is an organization very much worth supporting. To get involved, go to ffrf.org/school or text David to 511-511. Message and data rates may apply. The link is in the description.